man.
Good times, brother.
What's up, bud?
Man, I'll tell you.
I hear you're traveling again, man. It's not a...
Yeah, well, you just got to hit the road sometimes.
That's what you got to do, you know. That's the price you got to pay for a high-priced gigolo.
What's up, guys? This is Brian.
Jesse.
You're watching MMA the hard way?
In the car.
We are going to break down UFC 157. UFC history is about to take place. The first women to ever step into the Octagon.
Females are taking in. They're coming over.
Wow. The most popular female fighter in the world, Ronda Rousey, going to take on Liz Carmouche.
The arm collector. Yeah.
So there's a lot of fights, but
yeah, we'll break them down really quick, and then we'll go over some really cool point stuff that we've noticed.
Yeah. Why don't we start with we're going to leave off the Facebook fights.
No disrespect to you guys.
Just to give enough time for everybody. Start with the FX fights.
Sure. All right. The first one I have here, I have Sam Stout versus Carlos Fodor, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Fodor?
Yeah.
Carlos Fodor. Yeah, you know, it's always great to see Sam Stout coming back. You know, it was such a shame when...
he lost to Jon on his last fight. Yeah. But they're both coming off of losses, and they both want to bounce back. You know, they both want that win, you know, of course.
Yeah. Sam Stout had that horrible... tragedy when Coach Sean Tompkins died. You know, he was more than just a coach.
His fight after that, he was just not himself. He was not himself.
Just like Jake Shields after his dad.
Yeah. And even Dana White told Jake Shields not to divert. Said, "Hey, you don't have to fight. I totally understand." And he still was a warrior. Still fought. Next up on the card is Court McGee versus Josh Neer. Now this one, they're both in a, like you said,
both coming off 2 fight losing streaks, so it's like, man, this might be loser leaves town.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's they both got to. So this fight's I think that's gonna be a slugfest because they just want to quick get out of the way, and
Court McGee's got a really tough chin. Though,
yeah,
you know?
he's got a granite chin, but you know what? I mean, it's as they say, there's no free fights in the UFC. You know,
it's gonna be a couple of hungry guys fighting right there.
They need to stay in there. Next is Anton Kovinanen. I hope I got that right. And Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa, one of the few guys that's on a 5-win streak, you know.
Yeah, he's the only undefeated guy on the card. This is his first real step up in real competition. You got, what is his opponents ranked in the 80s?
In the 80s, and he's at 257 or something like that.
Yeah, so, Chiesa really hasn't been challenged up till now, just fighting a local, even though he's the Ultimate Fighter.
And I'm glad everything with his father's panned out. It's working out. You know, my heart goes out to him. I really felt for him during the tough season.
Yeah, to go through that.
Next up is now this one you can't blink. Visine in your eyes.
Oh, the big guys.
Yeah, Levar Johnson versus Brendan Schwab. That's, you know, you cannot miss. I mean, these guys.
Brendan Schwab.
Schwab. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Now he's coming up. Now Brandon's lost his last 2 fights. Got KO'd by Royval and KO'd by Big Nog.
I think people are thinking that they got his number, thinking that they're going to throw some straight right or
and Levar Johnson, of course. Yeah, Levar Johnson was he was subbed by Stefan Struve, but he did KO'd Pat Barry.
Yeah, he's a powerful guy. You know, Brendan Schaub started training at Rain Training Center.
I was about to say that. We were talking about that.
I think about a year ago, or maybe a little bit more than a year ago, and I think he's been mixing up his game to more well-rounded, more of like maybe using more wrestling. You know, not to just.
And we were talking during lunch that wrestling, besides being a great base, you could use it to literally set up your striking, keep your opponent off guard.
Yeah, change levels.
Yeah, change levels, exactly.
Yeah.
So he could use the wrestling that he's training with our buddy over there at Rain Training Center.
Yeah.
So basically, he could use that to just set up his striking much better. Use the wrestling, keep people off balance.
Yeah.
The next one's, I'm looking forward to this one: Josh Koscheck versus Robbie Lawler.
Boy. I'll tell you, 2 of my favorite fighters. I don't know. It's like we were talking about how Rashad always gets booed.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand why Josh Koscheck always gets booed as well. I don't think, if you follow Josh Koscheck on Twitter for a month, you would see that he's like this totally cool, mellow dude.
He sends out positive tweets. He sends out tweets about dieting, staying positive. Not once have I ever received a tweet from him that was arrogance or down talking his people. No, I don't get it either.
He's got a great track record of
great hands.
Oh my gosh! I mean, its only losses are what? A GSP, obviously.
Yeah.
Paulo Thiago knocked him out.
Yeah,
that was a real kind of an upset.
Yeah.
I think.
And now his last fight against Johnny Hendricks.
Oh yeah, and then Johnny Hendricks.
But that was a toss-up. Even Dana White said that one could have went either way. A lot of people booed when and people don't like, for whatever reason, like you said, people don't like Koss. People were booing when he lost because they thought that he got the fight.
Yeah.
But and Robbie Lawler's coming over from Strikeforce, man. He throws. God. He has heat. He fought against Lawrence Larkin, which is now also in the UFC.
Yep.
And he's got breaks. You can't blink.
That is that could be fight of the night as well. I mean, it's just wow.
A really good card.
And the return of Uriah Faber
versus Manjavar.
Ivan Manjavar. Oh,
that's
boy.
There. Now of course Uriah Faber lost to Barao.
But he is a heavily favorite. What we got? Well, his odds are minus 374.
So now Manjavar's not no walkover. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough fight.
Yeah.
But it's. I think we'll call it out at the end after we break this down. Next is the Dragon versus the H-Bomb Master. Machida versus Henderson. That's
ever since that fight was announced.
What's funny when this fight was announced? Remember, we've talked in the past, and I've always wanted to see this fight. It's happening. Here's my thing: that at first I was like, "What? They're only going to have 3 fights. 3 rings. three rounds to go." And I'm thinking, man, that's a bummer. But then I'm thinking, wait a minute. They're going to have to go 100 miles an hour for these 3 rounds, so we might actually have a really good slugfest. That fight's really intriguing. And of course, we'll come back to that in a second. The next fight, of course, the headliner is Ronda Rousey versus Liz Carmouche. First ever women's MMA fight in the UFC. Something that Dana White said would never happen on his watch.
Yeah. You know what's wild is I cannot believe the odds. When you look at the odds.
Oh, it's just ridiculous.
Over 1,000.
I have never seen 4 digits. I've never seen 4 digits.
Me either.
Of course, Ronda.
So many people are saying that Liz Carmouche is just like a lamb being thrown to slaughter, but
no, I don't. She's not no slouch. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, she came over from Invicta. She's legit.
She's fought on a lot of different cards. She took Marlowe's Conan.
Yeah.
She was throwing her around like a rag doll.
And it was short notice too. So
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to be rooting for Liz. I gotta say, she trains with some friends of mine, and
you have a
she's a San Diego girl,
and
it's nice to be able to root for the underdog. Anyways, but I'm one of those guys. People are in these. There's this thing going on with you got Cyborg, Rousey, even Miesha Tate and Liz Carmouche, and people are all like picking a camp, and I'm like. This isn't Twilight, It's
I know. It's become.
I like all of them.
It's like it's becoming like one day of Days of Our Lives or something. Drama, soap opera.
I want Cyborg to beat her up. I want her to beat up Cyborg. I want him.
I don't know why they hate. I actually met Ronda at SEMA, and she's really kickback.
She's awesome, man.
Kickback. She's humble, smiles. No derogatory things come out of her mouth. Now, don't people always confuse, someone being very positive, very sure of themselves with arrogance, and it's not. It's 2 different things.
It's got to be just the fact that she's undefeated, and the fact that Cyborg was so completely just dominating before Ronda came on the scene, and with her exit, then Ronda, it's obviously, and because there's so few elite women that are recognized that's why people want to tie these two together. But
on a side note, I've seen Tito's calling for the release of Cyborg because he's saying adamantly that she cannot healthily wise break come down to 135.
And I just wish that they would go, okay, but this is gonna change everything. No matter how it ends,
it's history.
Change women's MMA.
It's history. I mean, this card is really intriguing to me. The one that really just stands out to me, is just the Dragon versus Henderson. That's Dana saying basically, and he didn't say any depending on how spectacular the win is or whatever. He said he's pretty much said the winner of this gets Jon Jones winner of between him and Chael.
It's pretty straight.
So I mean, this is
there's no way to. I mean, that's the most obvious contender. There's no way you could say that.
What would be really crazy is if Dan Henderson wins and somehow Chael Sonnen pulls the upset and beats Jon Jones. You'd be having teammates fighting each other.
Hendo Chael would be weird.
Now Hendo said he doesn't have a problem fighting. Chael, because it's strictly for the belt. It's not personal, but who knows that things, it changes once the belt's in your hand. But really intriguing.
Chael beating Jon Jones.
No, I unless it's some kind of miracle happens. And I love Chael, but so how do you call it yourself, my man? Dragon or Hendo?
Well, I gotta go for Hendo. Okay. I mean, he's my favorite fighter. Mm-hmm. He's actually my number one favorite fighter in the world, and I've been a Team Quest fan since I became an MMA.
Well, you've chilled with Hendo, and you said he's kickback. He's so humble.
He's just an awesome dude, and
I'm going with Hendo too, but I'm scared for Hendo at the same time.
I'm not saying it ain't gonna be tough. I'll tell you that
because from what I've heard,
I just want him to win.
Yeah, I want him to win. From what I've heard, Dan's been bringing some karate people over to mimic.
They say when Dan's got a camp, you will never see more of a who's who of elite fighters from around the world come in.
He does not spare no expense when it comes to that.
His new gym is huge.
That's what I heard.
Oh yeah.
That's what I heard. I mean, I heard that it's not that far from Wayne. One of these take a drive up there. So, I'm going for Dan Hendo on the top card. Yeah. I'm kind of leaning towards Ronda if it goes to the ground because the arm collector. So I'm leaning towards Ronda on the top card. You're leaning towards Liz, so it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. I'm not leaning towards Liz. I'll be rooting for Liz, but I think Ronda's taking this in the first.
Okay.
I gotta be honest with you. She's got that down. If she grabs you a certain way, she has an undefendable technique of getting that judo takedown. Boom! For the armbar. You got 1 second to react.
She uses her judo so efficiently, and she's got that arm down to a science. As far as Koscheck and Robbie Lawler, that one's going to be really fast. I'm hoping Koscheck takes it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm hoping Koscheck takes it. Brandon Schwab and Levar Johnson. I have a feeling that this one, I'm going to go for the upset. I think Levar's going to get Brandon. That's what I might take.
I have to agree with you. And I think that Michael Chiesa is actually going to meet the challenge and significantly move up in the rankings.
I think that is going to be it's going to be a three-round war. I don't think it's going to go...
Might just be a decision. Get some ground and pound stuff. Yeah.
So,
Michael Chiesa, I was checking, he's got a 5-inch height advantage. 5-inch height advantage. That's pretty significant.
Yeah, that's significant. It is. And
what do you think, Court McGee, Josh Neer?
You know what? On this one, I'd like Court McGee to take it. But honestly, on this one, I can't pick it. They both lost to legit guys.
Yeah.
You know what? This one, I'm going to go Court.
Yeah,
he's got Chuck Liddell on his side, and Chuck's, he could be a cheerleader when it comes to, pushing it. But that's going to be a very, it's sad because one of these two guys most likely is going to be out of the UFC unless they give him a one-up chance to stay in there.
And then Carlos, Fodor, and Sam Stout are actually equally ranked, but I'm gonna go for Sam Stout, saying that I just think that he's more well-rounded, and he's faced tougher competition previously.
Well, yeah, he faced Jon in his last fight, and even though it was a loss, he did try to bring it. I'm going to go for Sam Stout on that one too for myself.
Yeah.
Not jumping on your bandwagon, but I see that one going that way. He's got much more experience.
So if you haven't checked out, put up a recent video on the Subfighter Girls Gi Challenge 3, and you might want to take a look at that. Subfighter owners Adam Lynn and Russ Mira are interviewed, and they talk about how they're building the sport back up by providing these low entry fee tournaments where you're guaranteed 3 belts. They got another one coming up. It's really interesting. I'd recommend going to subfightermma.com and taking a look. If you're a jiu-jitsu person in Southern California, you definitely want to participate in these tournaments. They give you an opportunity to get just incredibly better. There's not the pressure to win because you're guaranteed 3 belts. And it's fantastic.
Great for exposure against other competition.
Yeah.
You know,
all the gyms support one another. You'll see everyone cheering everyone on.
You know, when you're
great.
when you tussle with the same people day in and day out, you kind of get to know their weaknesses and strengths. But when you start going up against people you don't know from other gyms, it becomes a chess game.
It's really just something to see. You got to see it. So that's all the time we got. Remember, check out MMAthehardway.com. Follow us on Twitter at MMAthehardway.
Jesse1X on Twitter.
There you go. And enjoy the fights. We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.